Hello friends, family and other creatures of the sea, and welcome to the grand final of the Gladiator Cup. A best of 7 between Dark here, the top right as our blue Zerg player. And on the left side we have our Protoss player, who will be Reynor. Reynor playing Protoss on Stargazers as the first map. Now we have seen this before in the past. DreamHack Valencia 2022, so this year. We saw Reynor picking Protoss against Solar, and the first map that was played there also was Stargazers. He likes to play a double Stargate Phoenix style that we have seen him employ on Moondance as well. Two of the maps where Reynor likes to play TOS against Zerg. Feels like it makes him slightly more reliable. We'll have to wait and see if he's going to stick with Protoss or if he decides to switch out to Zerg at some point. Of course, in his series against DreamHack at the Home Story Cup, for the people that missed that, Reynor started the first two games with Protoss, but when he went down 0-2, quickly switched to Zerg and ended up losing the series with a 2-3 score, losing the final map 5 in a ZVZ as well. But he did manage to win 2 games with Zerg, so you could say that he lost that series 0-2 with Protoss and then won a series 2-1 with Zerg, but it still wasn't enough to win the entire thing. Alright, Probe is going to make its way back home now that these two links are actually chasing here on Stargazers. Now, the reason why Stargazers tends to be such a good TOS map is because you have this base in the back, easy to take, very difficult to attack for Zerg players. Well, for Zerg, usually the first 3 bases are free anyway, so it's not that big of a deal. Just makes everything real easy for TOS in the early game. And don't need to get too many gateways either. We'll need to get a second gateway to actually complete this wall at some point. That is a necessity. We'll have to wait and see what Reynor's plan is going to be. Could open up with a Phoenix here, like I said. We've seen him open double Stargate Phoenix in the past. Could also just be an Oracle here. For starters, it's going to be an Oracle. Stalker coming out as well. And the Adept is stuck in the wall. Well, stuck in the wall. He can move, but he's going to be chilling between this gateway and this Cybernetic score. Oh. Yeah, that's not how it works, buddy. Probes are relatively stupid. They really want to... Yeah, there you go. You need to click it through the Adept to throw down the gateway. He could not figure out to walk around the Cybernetic score. Always wants to get there as fast as possible, even if a unit is blocking it. Do not get the turnaround. So we have these mineral patches actually being mined out right now by Reynor, and we'll throw down that third base relatively quickly, I can only imagine. First Oracle makes its way across the map. We'll have to wait and see what Dark is going to be doing here. Ooh, what is that? I thought I clicked on the layer. This is a really quick layer timing. Like really, really fast. Continued mining gas after he got the minerals, or after he got the speed going. And then went straight into a layer. So that means there's not going to be a quick +1. This only really makes sense for a Hydra then. Like a quick Hydralisk would perhaps make some sense. We could see maybe like a Queen drop with Ling Flood. But, I mean, there's no vulnerable third base here whatsoever. So I don't really see that working. Could also be a Nidus, I guess. We still don't have a Roach Warren. And no extra gases either. It feels like a... Well, for a Hydra then you need more gas, I feel like. Still mining gas though. Fairly odd early game. Okay, we have links coming in right now. Could just be defensively against potential Stalkers or potential Adept run-bys. We're working off of 3 gates with a slightly delayed Twilight Council. Void Ray is being produced as well. Is Reynor aware of the layer timing? He is aware of the layer timing, so might actually know that something weird is going on. As indeed we do see the Nidus network coming up. Lots of links on the way. These Oracles are not actually doing anything. I think Reynor read this. He read Dark like an absolute book. And a fairly, like it's a book with pictures, you know? One of these you get when you're a kid. It's a really easy book to read. And now, Reynor, maybe not the most intellectual Protoss player, but he's definitely capable of checking out the pictures and reading that. He read Dark like a picture book. He's gonna go across the map with these 2 Oracles. Sees 2 Queens on the far edge. Gets a Revelation. These 2 Queens need to stay out of vision of the Nidus network in that case. Nidus is going to get up in the... Well, not in the... I was going to say in the main, but this is not the main. Ooh, even with the Watchtower vision, you can actually get a Nidus up here. That's pretty sick. I knew that, but I never really thought of it. We have drones? Okay. Drones coming out of the Nidus, turning into spine crawlers right now. A second Nidus going up. I'm not entirely sure what for, but it is happening. But this is a spine rush. What a weird game number 1. Spine Ling attack. The first game of this grand final. setup is fantastic though. It's lacking a little bit of damage output, and that's why you always need cannons against this type of attack. There's lots of stalkers already, actually. Even without the added cannons, I think it would be fine. The problem here for Dark is that the only thing he can really attack is the outside buildings. And that's nice, but your links are not going to be capable of getting through. Like, you can only use the queens to attack. I feel like there might have been a Nidus attempt here. I must have missed it. Battery as well as a cannon going up. This is a 100% hold right now for Reynor. I don't really see a way in which he dies. Super battery is about to be ready in a couple of seconds. There's 3 cannons out. I actually believe that Reynor should be probing up already again. Like, this push is over and there's no way he's gonna get broken, so why would you continue trying to defend? You know, you've already held at this point. Just get your extra gateways, go up to 66 workers, take your gases, throw down the Templar archives, and start thinking of the future. If you follow this up with a big charge Templar Archon timing, I don't think there's any way you're going to lose this game. One gate is going to fall. Super battery gets activated. There's a couple of transfuses ready, of course, which means that these spines will not be taken out too easily. It literally just doesn't matter. Oh, Stalker needs to be blinked back. There we go. Good control out of Reynor. Wouldn't even mind if he uses the oracles to harass the other side of the map right now. I feel like they're more useful over there than they would be over here. There's freaking 5 cannons and 3 batteries. Like, what? You're not going to get broken here, buddy. That's absolutely impossible. Still no worker production coming out of Reynor. Floating a bit of money as well. So is Dark, though. Dark just... Yeah, Dark is rich right now. Dark's not floating a little bit of money. Dark is thinking of starting his own bank. And start loaning out to people. Holy crap, he has a lot of cash. Should start a fort base or maybe a macro hatch in his main if he really needs to, but... Yeah, it's gonna have to build a couple of these roaches. Now the oracles indeed make their way across the map. Flew in with the weak oracle first. It's going to tank a bit of damage off that spore. 4 drones go down. It's 70 workers against 54, and it seems like that... Oh, Reynor is gonna lose 1 oracle here. Seems like Reynor is just so far ahead right now. Ideally, you do have some type of detection here to take out the creep tumors. You throw down a fort base, and then, in my mind, you march across the map and start applying pressure. If you can force your opponent to continuously build units, I mean, there's just not going to be a drone count that Dark can work with. Fort base is halfway done right now, infestation pit on the way, so most likely going to see some type of lurker as a follow-up, lurker play as a follow-up. Could also be some roach ravager infestor style. We've seen Dark play that in the past. We have. It is a possibility. It definitely is. Oracle just here on cleanup duty. Nexus can't be built yet here. I guess there's still some creep blocking that expansion. I almost feel like just sitting at home for this long is a bit of a waste. I'd much rather see him take out this creep than... Yeah. I think this is the correct call. You don't really care about this bottom side creep right now. You're getting a robo behind this. Just get an observer and 2 stalkers to clear that. Could probably already have been trading out for a bit longer here. It's getting 2 forges as a follow-up. So +2 has started. +1 armor just finished. Templar Archives is on the way. We're on 6 gas as well. Oh, do I need to blink out here? Yep, there we go. Only a single Oracle doesn't actually provide too much damage output. This is a good surround here out of Dark, who's gonna turn this into a game again. If he stops this completely, like just... He stops this dead in its tracks. I thought this would have way more potential, this Stalker move out. Feels like Reynor might have just waited a bit too long. Did kill all of the links just now, don't forget. His upgrade position is very solid in this game. He has a better eco as well. But if you don't get continuous trades against these roaches with the Stalkers, at least Dark gets to stay alive. And Dark is really good when he's still in a game. He's the man of the comebacks. The first time I really realized that, I want to say it was Intel Extreme Masters Katowice 2020, maybe? 2021, I can't quite recall. Might have been 2021 where he... Nah, 2020. When he played against Special in a best of 3. This is a crazy series. Honestly, a crazy series. Performed so well in that. Got really far behind. And then just came back again and again and again and again. It's back when Dark would play the Roach Ravager openers every single game. Get behind against Terran. And then magically have to make a comeback. And he would always make the comeback as well. Fantastic Zerg versus Terran player. Still is, by the way. That's not what we're looking at right now, though. Right now, Dark is in a bit of trouble. But yeah, he's getting his Neural Parasite. He's getting his Infestors out. And I've seen him make comebacks with this. If these 2 players were equally matched and equally skilled, I'd say this is about a 95 to 5% chance, though, for Dark. 95 to 5. So Dark would have the 5% there. And Reynor would have the 95. Reynor... It's gonna dodge one of these fungals, or at least dodge. Stalkers dodge one of the fungals. Observer is going to fall. Poor Observer. Stalkers just left him behind. He provides vision and clarity. What does he get? A fungal to his face. Unbelievable. Stalkers are kind of losers as well. They're the friends you have, you know, that are constantly saying that they'll have your back when stuff goes down. Then when push comes to shove, they blink away. They'll report back to home base. Oh, it's scary out there. See, just blinking away. Oracle takes a hit. It's always like this with these guys. This is an engagement that I'm not entirely happy with for Reynor. The Stormers were a little bit too far behind. The Immortal count is at 3, which is significant. And there's no Zealots in this army, which I also really like. Oh, I get a big feedback there on one of these Infestors. Good for Storm as well, hitting. Control of the Dark here is insane, though. Look at that. Hitting a lot of these fungals on this army. Hitting another... Oh my god. These Templar are just dying. Reynor is throwing away a pretty sizable army here. Now don't forget, he is still way up when it comes to the worker count. But this was not a very good fight. Resources lost actually, well, slightly in favor of Dark right now. Zealot run-bys or Zealot warpins coming in. Not quite enough roaches with this army to kite this all the way back home. Zealots do connect with a couple of these Ravagers. Good fight for Dark, but still not out of the woods quite yet. Needs to somehow manage to do some counter damage, and that's not going to really be possible, honestly, with a pure roach army. You can't just counter with roaches. It's 69 workers for Dark. Dark is still all in with this. Don't be fooled. This is not good for Dark. Ooh. A couple of Neurals, though, on these Archons definitely could change the tide of battle. There's no more Storms available, actually, is there? Look at his high ground positioning. That's beautiful. That really is quite beautiful. I love that. Infestors stay alive. Do not get spotted. A couple of roaches move towards the left side. We don't have tunneling claws here, right? No, we don't. We do have burrow, though. What's this? This is, yeah, adaptive talon. Seismic spines. So Dark is indeed heading into a infestor lurker based composition, and eventually will transition into Broodlords if he gets there. Or if Reynor gets there, of course. Nidus is still alive as well, let's not forget about that. That gives the ability to Dark to use the Nidus in a moment of chaos. Try and put it in like a main base, or in a third base. Get a couple of lurkers out, and lurkers in a base can be very painful. Good neural parasite here on one of these Archons. It really changes the battle, because Zealots are weak against Archons. Oracle's taking a fair amount of damage as well. Oh, there's still... Reynor needs to be careful. There's still 2 neural parasites available. Another Archon is gonna go down. This Infestor gets a fungal off instead. Lurker is going to burrow. Reynor is bleeding a little bit of supply, but so is Dark, honestly. Dark, well, what does this look like? Unit lost step very, very even. Bit of an ambitious move forward there out of Dark into 2 Immortals still. Without Lurker backup, it's going to be difficult to get good fights. There's no detection here, otherwise this Observer taking that out could be rather vital to the survival of the Korean Zerg player. It's not quite going to be necessary, though. Reynor is heading back home, did a good job denying creep. Would love for him to take this 6th bottom base, and I would even like if he takes this 7th. And not necessarily because I think he needs the mining right now, but the moment you take this 7th base, you get like 8, 9 cannons down here, 1 Templar. You kind of cut off the possibility of bottom side counterattacks. So if you secure this bottom side gold base, you immediately secure this bad boy. Because the only other path is going to be here, given that the top side path is non-viable. This most of the time is going to be in control of Reynor. So Reynor only really needs like a pylon or a zealot up here to defend everything in that case. Is moving in with a bit of a split army and starts transitioning into Stargates. Now, Stargates are a real issue here for Dark, because he has Lurkers. Now, Lurkers are a range unit, but they do not actually shoot up. They only have a spike ability that can attack other ground units. So, yeah, that's an issue if you're fighting a pure air army. That's not the case quite yet, and of course there is decent carapace upgrades as well, working with +2 carapace. Carriers get a lot better when they have good attack upgrades, fighting versus bad carapace upgrades. If they had bad attack upgrades and are fighting against good carapace upgrades, they're usually not quite as brilliant. So, before these carriers are really going to be doing a number on Dark's army, They'll need to get +2, maybe even +3 on the air weapons, depending on the upgrade timing here for Dark's +3 carapace. You want to be even, at least, as the carrier player. Ideally, you're ahead, but if you're even, that's also playable. But yeah, being down 2 is just not a fair fight. See 2 more Stargates going down here in the back of the base. Reynor clears up some creep on the bottom side, takes this gold, has a bit of money. Yep, this is actually perfect. This is exactly how you should be approaching this issue. Exactly how you should be approaching this. Uh-oh, there is an issue right now though. He should have just taken this with a small portion of his army and kept his main army in the middle of the map. Now he's going to be caught out of position a little bit. Nidus is going to be thrown down as well. There's not a single carrier out, and that means that this could actually be dangerous. Lurkers aren't good, but Lurkers are fantastic when they're in position. And right now, they're going to be in position. This is 27 Lurkers. Reynor will need to take a fabulous fight. He'll need to take a practically impossible fight right here. He takes a huge concave, 360s around like he's playing Zerg versus Terran here. He's still going to be losing a bunch of stuff, but with a warp in on the left side, Dark needs to evacuate here. Fantastic engagement out of Reynor. Don't think there's many Protoss players that would have done that better. This was a true Zerg fight, you know, coming from multiple angles, timing it perfectly as well. Couple of storms, but mainly just a big A move, 360s around, finishing it off with that Zealot warp in on the far left side. Reynor is playing some fantastic Protoss here. Honest to God, some fantastic Protoss versus Zerg. Yes, his early game was way better than Dark's, and the game was pretty much over from that point on out. And yes, Stargazer is a good map, but Reynor has been showcasing some high-level understanding of Protoss versus Zerg in the mid and in the late game. Full Wall could definitely use a Templar or 2 here to just kind of boost that defense against any type of Hydras. And even against Lurkers, it's really nice to have a couple of extra Templar there for some potential zoning storms. We're seeing 5 carriers being pushed out at the same time. We have +2 weapons on the way. Ooh, Reynor attacking into this might be a little bit too risky. It's also not necessary. You're currently up 2 bases. You can just head back home, clear a little bit of creep, and stay alive for now. What is this going to be? 23 Lurkers are out on the map once again. We have a bunch of Templar moving forward, and all of them do have Storm. The boys always have Storm ready. The first 5 carriers are out right now, and oh my god. I love the confidence here out of Reynor, saying, hey, isn't it 7 base against 5? By the time you take out the bottom side, I'll take out something with my main army as well. And at the same time, these carriers... Oh! Defensive carriers. I thought he was going to go in here with the carriers to kill this. That would have worked, but this also works. So Reynor gets to keep a stable game, and at the same time will be capable of taking out a lot of workers, maybe even a little bit of tech in the main base. Will be zoning out these Lurkers away from the defense. Ooh, he's getting himself in a bit of a tricky spot right now. If these observers die, no, observers stay alive for now. Spore will get taken out as well. Zealots in the main will be going to town as the carriers keep moving forward. There's not enough anti-air here for Dark, who's desperately trying to build more and more Hydras, but Hydras are such pathetic anti-air that even if he gets out 20, 25 Hydras at this point, I'd still much favor Reynor's army. What you want against an air army like this is eventually those Corruptors, those Vipers. You want those Infestors, and you need Broodlords to deal with the ground. Lurkers are simply not sufficient. And these Hydras, with the help of the Queens, also are not going to be sufficient. Some good target fire on the individual Hydras. No transfuses being used. At the same time, Reynor is kind of getting caught out of position, but a couple of storms on top of these Lurkers will definitely help out. Don't really want to be losing these carriers, as the interceptor count is running low right now. I wouldn't mind for these carriers to just... Probably should have ran home a little bit faster. This is a little bit... Well, it's not ideal, but I guess Reynor can do it. Hasn't started at +3 yet either. Any trade at this point is a good trade. Resource lost are very close, but Reynor just been outmining his opponent in such a big way. More cannons being added. I really still believe that 1 or 2 Templar here would help so much. It would aid so much in that defensive setup. 7 carriers are out. We have, I think, 1 more on the way now, as 2 more have popped. So we're on 9 carriers currently. 2 Robos being added as well. Where are they? Over here at the... Which was the 4th base, I think. I mean, Dark is never going to get the gold. Dark probably isn't even going to get a 6th base up and running in this game. If the carriers now move forward, we'll target down a couple of these spores. Observer stays in the back. Microbial Shroud could help here, actually. It's definitely going to help, but not sure if it's going to help enough. Reynor's just going to collapse on top of this army, and... Well, see. 1 storm. 43 interceptors still remaining against 13 hydras. One more microbial shroud is going to help out. No more storms available. No, there is one more storm available, and that is very, very, very big. Another carrier goes down. The carrier micro has been subpar, but I think Reynor knows and has known for a while that this game is absolutely over, so he doesn't care quite as much. Targets down a couple of the infestors that were out of the microbial shroud. GG gets called, and Reynor wins game number 1 of the grand final here against Dark. Second game, and we once again see Reynor playing a little bit of Protoss here versus Dark. And that means that as long as he's winning, he's probably going to stick with it. As the probe will make its way back home, at least for now. This is a wall. It's not a complete wall yet, but it's the start of a wall. It's kind of funny, because on this map, if you build the pylon in the correct location, which I guess Reynor didn't do, you can get a gateway and a cybernetics core to finish a full wall. That way you only need 2 buildings, the gateway and the cyber core, before you take a third base, and you can take your third a little bit faster because of that. Now, in this scenario, Reynor will need to throw down a second gateway in order to finish his wall. He follows this up with a quick stalker as well. And here we have our first oracle on top of that. Dark moves his overlord towards this high ground. That means that this stalker will not be capable of taking it out. We have the... what's this pylon doing? Just building, I guess. Interesting pylon position, doesn't do a whole lot. Doesn't provide necessary building space, because you have this pylon that is relatively empty, and it doesn't spot the edges either. And against Dark, spotting the edges of your main base might actually be important. We already saw a Nidus, and you know, it was a failed Nidus, but a Nidus nonetheless in game number 1. Just because it fails once doesn't mean someone can't play it a second time. This time though, not a layer that's quite as quick. We don't even see a layer at all yet. You have a couple of queens out, and Reynor not managing to do any damage whatsoever. At least not at this moment. Third oracle is on the way, and we have our third gas coming out as well over here. Double oracles moving in. We'll take a couple of drones out. One... can definitely kill that, right? Ooh! Good cancel there out of Dark. Good attack into cancel, or spore into cancel. A couple more drones might fall in the main base. Quick pull once again, though. 4 workers will end up dying, but that oracle was in a little bit of trouble. I love that little split off. Good control out of Reynor. It's going to keep it alive. He's building a bunch of adepts right now, as well as a Twilight Council. But with that initial warp in of the adepts, he's going to start moving those towards the left side. We see +1 coming out of Dark as well. 2 more gateways, so opting for a 4-gate blink follow-up. This is a very standard Protoss build order after a triple oracle opener. This oracle on the top left is just gaining energy right now. Could be for stasis wards, could also be for something else. While we see all of that, these 2 adepts are moving in, and Link's actually out of position, which means that 2 workers get killed, and more workers are going to go down over here on the third base. Lots of workers are going to be falling as the oracle catches these transferring drones. 10 workers going down. Reynor with a fantastic start here. Is definitely going to be capable of dealing some damage with this follow-up as well. I can feel it. I can only imagine that he's going to be capable of doing that. Because if you kill as many workers as this in the early game, 14 workers killed in an early game, and you play against a player that is opening up with a melee upgrade, which is relatively... what should I say? It's not low eco necessarily, but you're just investing a lot of resources in things that aren't drones. So yeah, you're just slightly lower on the eco. It makes it hard for you to come back from that type of loss. It really makes it difficult. It really does make it difficult. We also see that Dark, in my mind, wanted to open up with a bit more of a Ling heavy style, and you want all of your larvae to be used for Lings in those cases. With roaches, you can easily spend your money. So if you have 10 larvae and you build 10 roaches, well, you dropped a crap ton of money just there. But with Lings, it's a lot less, of course, which means that if you lose drones, it's, you know, you need to rebuild those drones. If you want the same drone count, you're going to have less stuff. So now we're seeing a couple of roaches coming out. It's probably just to spend his money. We see a macro hatch coming down as well. Now with Dark, it's impossible to say if this is a reaction to losing the drones in the early game, or if this is a response to, or if it's just his build order. Because often he just builds a macro hatch, no matter the opener, how bad or how good or how terrible or how brilliant, doesn't really matter. 6 gas coming out of Reynor into a fort base at the 7-minute mark. This is not what we refer to as the hero style. This is not well, this is just not a style that that is low on those gases. It's going to be high gateway units. No, instead we have Quick Storm. This specific style is extremely weak against Mutalisks. Despite there being this many Stalkers in the early game. That sounds weird, but it's the truth. Mutalisks are very powerful against this. This is a setup. A weird one. This is a very weird setup. Interesting. Interesting gate wall. We'll come back to that later. Huh. Anyway. Yeah, but as there's no Mutalisk, I'm not actually that worried. Has it? No way. Yeah, an Oracle has been rebuilt. So 4 Oracles are here. Or 4 Oracles have been built. 3 Oracles are still here. One of the Oracles, I think it died somewhere in this general area. His remains still somewhere in the stuck in creep. These Oracles are trying to retrieve it, but no chance. Is the Oracle actually a unit, or is it a ship where there's a Protoss inside? And if so, where would the Protoss sit? Like on this top part? In like the green energy ball? No way. I don't think the ship itself is like a conscious unit, is it? But I don't see a space for the captain of the ship. It's difficult to say. Anyway, a couple of drones are going to get taken out. Whoop. A couple. Another 4 or 5 workers falling here. Woo! Now this Spore actually gets killed as well. That's pretty painful. We have double Baneling drops heading out. Well, not yet, but +2 is on the way. We have Overlord Speed coming in as well. This could deal a lot of damage. We have a bunch of cannons being set up as well. Now, the reason why I said this is a bit of a weird wall is because the minerals are actually still somewhat vulnerable, and it makes it difficult for the Protoss player to actually defend the walls if there is some type of anti-air that can deal with these Oracles. So, if there's Queens with a push, or if there's Hydras with a push, this wall is just going to die practically for free, in my mind at least. And on top of that, this thing still being open makes it pretty scary. So this Overseer went in. What else do we have first? These Overlord drops. I can't see them anymore. Did they die already? Where are they? Oh, here's one. Second one moving towards the left side. Baneling's going to connect with 7-ish workers. Taking out a lot of pylons as well. Reynor was kind of caught out of position. Is going to catch the back part of this army actually. We'll take out a bunch of these Ravagers. Good storm as well. Reynor once again in a very solid position. These Lings are still going ham though. This was a slow Zealot warp in. Here come the Baneling drops. 1, 2, 3, 4. Some of them are going to connect, but not all of them will. Of course, still have a Baneling drop heading in towards the natural. It's not quite going to get spotted by Reynor as the probe dies just before it sees the Overlord. Zealots will trade well with these Zerglings. Reynor is going to spot it right now. Not sure if he spotted it though. He might have just barely missed it. Dark is just going to idle it in the dead space, just barely in the fog of war. It's not going to get spotted here. Uh oh, now it's going to go back in. Let's take a look at the first person view of Reynor. He's microing his Oracle and splitting away Zealot. He's going to lose a bunch of workers here over at the third base. Very unfortunate. And where Reynor before had about, what was it, 81, 82 workers, he's now only going to have 68 remain. I think that Overlord is empty, isn't it? Reynor isn't sure either. He's going to... Oh. Still had one in it, so pulled away correctly there. Oi, 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 Dark. Outplaying Reynor a little bit over here. Just very high speed plays. Nidus network. Uh-oh, what was I saying? You need some vision in your main base against Dark. It's actually going to bite him in the bum. I can't believe that we're seeing it. What is this, an Ultralisk Nidus? No, it's just going to be a Lingbane Nidus. The type of stuff you don't really see that often. Oi, 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 oi. That is actually insane. That is actually insane. Dark just styling at this point. Getting 2 Ultras, 2 more Forges. Wait, there's already a Forge out, no? I thought we already had 2 Forges. I guess one of them must have gone down. Because we're only seeing 1 left right now. And Reynor is stuck on 4 bases. That's a real issue. He does not have units ready for the Ultralisk either. He's not ready for potential Burrowed Infestors with Neural Parasite, which is what it kind of feels like we're going into here. Neural hasn't been researched yet. This is... Well, this engagement looked interesting. I only caught the tail end of it. When I say interesting, I mean bad. Fairly bad. Here comes the follow-up attack. There is Burrow right now. We have a couple of Ravagers idling on the left side. Dark is actually relatively poor, by the way. Another knight is going up. He's spending a lot of money right now. And he has a lot of money, he has good income. He needs to be careful that he doesn't go too hard here. If Reynor gets to stabilize, throws on a couple of robotics facilities, that could be huge. Nidus will finish up here in the natural, but doesn't really pop anything out. And this is a wild game. Action absolutely everywhere. Both players playing this extremely fast. Storm's going to hit a bunch of these links. Another Nidus is going to get down here. Oh, no, you gotta be kidding me. It's like a 12-minute Nidus with an Ultra and Queens popping out and a couple of transfuses hitting it. This is actually gonna work. The Ultralisk burrowed and now is going to unburrow again. What is happening? Ling run by here towards the right side. Ultra dying on the left. We still have this natural Ultra. Look at this guy. He is absolutely unbelievable. He is going hard. There's no Immortals to deal with him. And that means that, well, I guess Transfuse runs out and they pop back into the Nidus. At the same time, though, Links. Oh my god. This game is insanely action-packed. Dark lost a lot. He lost a lot. And he is denying mining, but he's not killing workers. He's actually not killing workers whatsoever. Look at this. Protoss just playing Ring Around the Rosie with the Ultralisk, and the Ultralisk has no clue what's going on. Getting another Nidus. Reynor definitely is going to be in time for that, right? Sees it on the minimap. Yeah, she's going to maybe pull some Zealots and an Oracle over. This is going to be just fine. I'm absolutely not worried whatsoever for Reynor when it comes to that Nidus. Supplies are 200 versus 170. Immortals are being produced. Upgrades are 3-1 against 3-2. Guess on that front we are lacking a little bit. Baneling's going to connect with some of the probes here. More Banes rolling in, and this fourth base is actually running rather low. Dark taking bases that do not belong to him. Nidus actually getting up in the natural base. More Ultras are trying to get in here, but this is a bit of a funnel, and in funnels these Stalkers, well, they perform a little bit better than usual. There's Adrenal Glands, right? Yep, there we go. Forge is going to finish its upgrade before it's going to get taken out. Links running in towards the main base. Don't forget, we still have Burrow as well. Could definitely help in keeping them Links alive. Yep, there we go, Burrow. Not sure if Reynor saw it. We'll need to revelate. Oh my god, this is a wild game. I absolutely cannot keep up here. Dark is playing so quick. Once again, low on supply though. He's losing these fights, but he's keeping Reynor on 4 base. And eventually Reynor is going to run out of mineral patches to mine from. Eventually this base is going to fall. So Reynor now needs to make a decision. And that is... Ooh! He's going to lose a lot of these. Templar's going to lose this base if he isn't careful. No, Super Battery gets activated, and that means that a couple of extra shields here will keep this Nexus alive. 11 workers will end up falling. I was going to say, Reynor needs to make a decision right now. Will he try and to defend for till the end of time, basically? In that case, he needs this 5th base. He can also go for an all-out push right now. He actually has a powerful army. There's no Brood Lords out. What kills this army? Well, you could say Ultras, you could say Infestors, but I'm not so sure if that is actually true. The only thing that Reynor kind of lacks is an Immortal count. Like a good Immortal count. There's 3 Immortals. You want to have 4 or 5. You want to match your opponent's Ultra count with your Immortals. Your Ultras count with the Immortals. Yeah, I think I said that correctly the first time around. What do we have here on the left side? Couple of lanes. We still have some burrowed units over here. No, we don't. 5th base is absolutely vital here for Reynor's survival. He is maxed out. He's getting more and more Immortals. He could potentially be working off of 2 robotics facilities. Right now he's only working off of 1. Ooh, Dark looking for a snipe there. He's not quite going to get it. This is scary though. This building is scaring me. And this building should be scaring Reynor as well. And Reynor has no clue that it's happening. He does probably notice that the game has slowed down a little bit. And what does that mean? That's the question right now. Like, what does it mean that the game has slowed down? Reynor needs to identify what's going on. He needs to identify, hey, maybe I have a timing here. Maybe some type of transition is happening. Because once those Brood Lords finish up, and this is not an army that deals with Brood Lords very well. There's 15 Stalkers, there's 4 Archons. The problem often isn't in having anti-air. It's about in having anti-air that can get in range of the Brood Lords. And I'm not sure if that is currently here. Banelings are going to try and get a couple of connections on these Immortals. Not so sure if that's actually what you want. Templars will fall though there. The tail end of that engagement. The game has finally slowed down. But this has been an insanely exciting, honestly, an entire series so far. The first 30 minutes in this series have been fabulous. This entire game has been insane. It's the first time I managed to catch my breath a little bit. Constant action from minute 1, basically. Nidus will get thrown down over here. A couple of creep tumors as well. Broodlords now get shown, and if there's no banelings underneath, maybe a blink forward could help. One brood gets taken out, second one will get the transfuses. Yeah, this is the issue. You can't get underneath them, not if there's 7-8 ultras there as well to help out. I think Dark needs to push a little slower though, needs to wait for the broodlords to join up with this army. The way that you want to engage this as a Zerg is you want to force your opponent to blink into you, be forced to blink into you, I should say. Oh, 25 workers went down somewhere. I have a feeling, now that this base is completely devoid of any workers whatsoever, that it might have been this bottom side base. But yeah, the way that you want to do it is you move forward with the brutes, force your opponent to blink in, and then there's banelings or ultras or infestors or a combination of the three or a combination of two of the three, and you just absolutely destroy these units. Gold base is going to get taken here for Dark, who now has a healthy bank, and is going to set up a bit of a stable type of game, I believe at least. This base was extremely out of position, holy crap. There's like 2 entire blocks out of position. Practically long distance mining at that point. That's not okay. That is absolutely not okay. Reynor is set up on 5. If he gets the 6th base, don't forget. Ooh, actually, these trades have been a lot closer than I thought they would be. Dark's doing a good job with a relatively crap army. No offense to his army. Look, I'm not saying I would be capable of taking out an Ultra in a one-on-one fight, but it's just not a great army to have against Immortals. Let's face it. Broodlord count is rising. Still is an issue as there's no Tempest. This is not enough. I don't actually believe that Reynor can win fights here. I don't believe it. Banelings are gonna go in for a couple of connections. Now, yeah, Dark needs to be careful, but so does Reynor. Reynor's losing a lot of supply right now. That's an issue. That really is an issue. Gets a recall in, but 127 supply against 195. 12 more workers have fallen. Topside base does finish up, but there's just no workers to really saturate it. Still a couple of workers here, I guess. We have some oversaturation going on this fort as well. There's too many brutes. No Tempest. No base trades going on either. That's another way you can deal with Broodlords, but neither of these things are happening, and I think this is just going to be it. 191 supply against 103. Nothing to deal with the Broodlords, and GG gets called. That means that Dark will win game number 2 in his best of 7 grand finals. And in the third game of this best of 7, we once again see Reynor picking Protoss, this time on Tropical Sacrifice. Tropical Sacrifice is a map that some people consider a Zerg map, some people consider it a Protoss map. Other people say that the map is relatively even. And there's people that say that the map is good for Terran. But there's no Terran in this game, so it's kind of irrelevant. We'll have to wait and see what's actually going to happen. I think, in my mind at least, it feels like the first 4 bases are relatively easy for Protoss players. Right? You have nice wall possibilities here in this type of area. You can even full wall this if you really feel like it. The 5th base, however, becomes difficult, because if you're walling this far right side as a TOS initially, it means that your 5th base is going to be this bottom one, which is quite far away. If these rocks get taken out, life can be a little bit tricky. If you don't wall this early on, keeping 4 bases might be harder initially, but then you can take this 12 o'clock base as a 5th base, which is somewhat closer. Still the possibility of, attacks up here if these rocks are broken can still be hard. And like I said, the initial 4 base defense will just be a little bit harder. So yeah, it's not a super easy map defensively, is what I'm trying to be saying. Reynor, however, is quite strong defensively. We saw that in the last game. Managed to stay alive for quite long. Also had a good start though. Let's not forget about that, huh? Was it like 14 worker kills or something in the early game with those 3 oracles, 2 adepts as well at the same time? It was a very powerful early game. Dark managing to come back with some action all over the place. Play a fantastic, absolutely fantastic game. Really entertaining. It is just so crazy to me that 4 or 5 months ago, this matchup was, I'm gonna say, it was dull. It was boring. The matchup was kind of played out in a way. Like, the Void Ray stuff, it just wasn't interesting to watch. Back then, Terran versus Zerg was all the hype. It was the greatest matchup in the world. People, they'd sell their second child just to purely watch Terran versus Zerg. Nowadays, it feels like Terran versus Zerg is still quite good, and we see a lot of very interesting games, but the games have become a little bit campy, often with the Terran just sitting at home building ghosts and sitting behind tanks. A little bit reminiscent of what Protoss players did for a while, either 2-base all in or camp into the late game. And now Protoss versus Zerg, honestly, we're getting some fantastic games there. Like that last game, the first game as well, has just been intense games with a comeback potential for both races. You have the Baneling as a comeback mechanic for the Zerg. You have, well, basically any unit that Protoss can build has a comeback mechanic included. The Stormers are great for that. Super Battery allows you to stay alive for a bit more than maybe the other races would want to. So yeah, I'm just a huge fan of this matchup currently. And it is great to see. This is kind of funny as well, is that Reynor really shines, of course, in this style of Protoss versus Zerg. It's because it's very high-paced. Compare this to the Void Ray stuff, where everything, or almost everything, was decision-making based. I don't think Reynor would have been very good at that. He would have been fine, but I don't think he would have been better than a lot of other Protoss players. But with this style, where speed matters a lot, and let's face it, Reynor is probably the strongest mechanical player in the world. I'm not sure if that is that controversial to say. I think a lot of pro players do believe that he is one of the mechanically most sound players in the world. If the knowledge that you need to have of a matchup is relatively limited, like it is with the Oracle Stalker stuff, just building a lot of gate units and then defending with them, and not responding to all-ins quite as much, having very precise defenses, yeah, a player like Reynor is just going to shine a bit more. As I'm bragging about his mechanics, he accidentally attacks a Baneling nest. It's not super ideal. He's going to get a couple of drones once again, though. What do we see here? 13 drones in the first 5 minutes and 30 seconds. I mean, this is... oh my god, there's more drones. This is over. This is a game. This is actually game over. Well, actually, it is... No, yeah. This looks really, really bad for Dark. He lost what? 21 workers in 5 minutes and 45 seconds. Great Oracle control. We have a counterattack coming in with a bunch of links. We have +1 melee, so this is most likely going to be a Baneling bust. Yep, there we go. We saw the Baneling nest finish up. 16 Banes coming in right now. Oracles are out of energy. They have 1 pulsar beam available in them between the two of them. Uh-oh, here we go. Might need to... Oh, yes, this was great. Great play out of Dark, just baiting that out. Needs to split these Banelings up half, go towards the top, Dark. There we go. We'll try and connect with some of these probes. Is not quite going to get it yet. Oh, doesn't actually want to kill the probes. He wants to go for the kill on the base here and might actually end up getting it. Look at this. Baneling wants to connect with these probes, gets the connection. Dark with the counterattack. And like I mentioned, these Oracles low on energy because of their perfect harass. And this is the downfall of the great Protoss players that are so good at using these Oracles. And that's that you're out of energy. If you kill too many workers, you might just die to a counterattack. 50 workers remain for Reynor, 40 workers remain for Dark. Dark is on 4 bases and Reynor is going to lose his 3rd right now. This natural base is probably not gonna get broken. We have another Oracle coming out. These two bad boys make their way across the map, but there's queens in position this time around, and that means that they will be pushed away. There's no queens here on the very top side. More links are being produced as well. And, nah, really? No, I don't think so, Dark. This is... No. I don't think so. Dark does believe so. He's going to push in right now, forces himself into this base. Okay, well, I guess I was wrong. As Dark gets in, he's going to get a lot of kills here once again. You know, worker kills most likely. I don't think he's going to be capable of killing his opponent. Well, these stalkers are surely going to fall. Oracle's returning back home right now, though. This was not successful. No, this was not successful. And the reason I say that is because I don't think the Reynor ever could have taken a fight outside to truly secure a 3rd base. And Dark's work... Oh my god. If he would have gotten in here, that might have been good. But Dark's work account hasn't been that great during all of this. Dark is still going to be a half, but I think he could have denied a 3rd base for much longer had he kept all those links alive. What did Reynor really end up losing there? A pylon, an adept, 3-4 workers, maybe a stalker and a half? I don't think that's enough for losing 34 links and 4 or 5 banelings. Well, I know that's not enough. That's not a worthwhile trade. And also, it gives Reynor the opportunity to expand once again, while having the oracles across the map. Otherwise, the oracles need to babysit that third base for absolutely ever, because there's just too many ground units for the Zerg player. Dark once again is moving in right now. These two Templar need to move into an Archon. Are indeed going to be doing that. 10 more drones on the way for Dark. Couple of roaches coming out. Infestation pit as well. Could morph this lair into a hive, perhaps, at some point. Once that infestation pit finishes up, we see a second Evo chamber as well. I like it. Oracles once again coming in. 26 workers killed against 21. Don't forget that the Protoss player had to work hard for those kills, right? This was consistent effort. You know, he put in the work every single day of the week, flying in with oracles, getting 3 kills here, getting 4 kills there, getting 6 kills here. Then sending in 2 adepts, getting 3 kills with those. You know, this consistent effort pays off. And the Zerg player got 1 lucky bust. The Zerg player basically won the lottery, you know, and is now bragging about having similar worker kills. But that's not how it works. We know who worked hard for those kills, and we know who, you know, just basically had a rich dad. And trust me, it's the Protoss player here who worked hard for the kills. It is what it is. Lottery winner Dark over here is, yeah, just got 1 lucky bust with a couple of Banes. Gets 21 workers, but doesn't count for the same. Does not. Oh, no, not again. This is the 3rd Nidus in 3 games. Triple, well, it's more like the 15th Nidus in 3 games. But the 3rd Nidus network that goes down. Is he actually gonna pop the Swarm host in the main base? There's no way, right? That would be so extremely cool. If Dark does that, that would be so cool. Oh my god, Dark is just so cool. I can't believe he's doing this. Dark is such an interesting player. I didn't even realize he was going into Swarm host. Honestly, if someone would have told me that he's going into Swarm host from this, I would have called him an idiot. He's getting freaking +2 melee right now. And yet he's building 16 Swarm hosts. Here we go. Pop! Swarm host pop in, Swarm host pop out. First wave. Is it going to be capable of taking out a base? The answer is going to be... maybe? I don't know. Can you repeat the question? No. Base will stay alive. Cannon stays alive. Everything stays alive except for a lot of the HP on this Nexus. Swarm host moving out on the bottom side, but they still have a little bit of a cooldown. +2 melee attacks are finishing up. Forgot about Baneling speed though. Relatively important if you want to do Baneling run-bys. 6 Swarm hosts use their wave here on the bottom side. Go for the cannon, and it actually feels like this slows down the game in a weird way, the Swarm host. Look, I like Swarm host, but it feels like Reynor was relatively set up for Swarm host with the Storm, and tacking into quicker ultras or even quicker lurker then. I think I would have preferred that, honestly. I really believe I would have preferred that. There's a bunch of roaches with this still, like I mentioned before. Ooh, no Baneling speed. Maybe these rocks can be taken out. It actually functions as a force field, meaning that if Reynor wants to go over here right now, he needs to jump over this. It's not something I would recommend doing. Reynor's gonna spot this Nidus. Just what? Excuse me? Did he just kill his own Stalker? I'm gonna go back. One more. I'm sorry. I need to see this. What was this? Heh? Throws down the stasis. Sees this Nidus. Take a look at this first person here. Sees the Nidus on the minimap. And goes, you know what's good? Let me kill my own Stalker. Oh, he just A-moved towards the top side to deal with these Banelings. And accidentally killed his own Stalker. Then we had this, look at that. I was just so surprised. I had no clue what could have triggered that. But he saw it with the Oracle. Now he's going to be losing a lot of probes here. An odd move. What an odd move. What an odd move. No one saw something, but that was some big friendly fire right there. One of these gases taken out, Lurker then on the way as well. Knight is going up in the main. Oracle could perhaps take care of that. Still have the Swarm hosts here on the block. How many do we have? We have 16 Swarm hosts still. +2 range is on the way already. I don't think you should pop all the Swarm hosts in this base right now, should you? I don't think Dark's going to do that. No, Dark's going to continue here on the bottom side. I think this is a kill on the... was this the 3rd? Yeah, I think this is the 3rd base. It's going to die. Right? Is there storms available? Yeah, not quick enough. And this base will end up falling. A couple of cannons also go down. Swarm hosts finally have an impact on this game. Constant free trading here for Dark is definitely going to pay off. Whew. A couple of Stalkers move towards the bottom side. We'll find a Nidus network, but we already have a new one on the way. This is a fantastic game. The strategical diversity that a player like Dark has is just insane. It is absolutely mental. It actually is absolutely mental. No Nidus here on the bottom side yet. No, Nidus pops out here. Reynor is going to move in, well, it's going to lose an Archon or two here if he isn't careful. Even if he is careful, he might just lose an Archon or two. He's going to lose one Archon. He's going to lose a Templar, a couple more Templars being taken out, and a Sec, yeah. Oi, 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 oi. Dark with the trades here, free trades, don't forget, these units are absolutely free. Nidus Network, or Nidus Worms do cost money, but that is about it. We have an Ultra Cavern, we have Lurkers on the way. We have a little bit of everything right now. And well, Reynor, a very similar setup to last game, honestly. We're in a strong defensive 4-base position. But on this map, taking a 5th is so darn hard. And it feels like Dark has figured out a way to crack the nut. And his way is to just use Swarm Host. He says, hey, if you're going to be stuck on 4 bases, I want to get some of these free trades. Look at that. Resources lost in favor of the Zerg player. Because the Zerg hasn't been losing any units whatsoever. Good drop down here out of these Locusts. We'll take out 1, 2 Stalkers. Might even get a couple of cannons here. The damage output of these things is so crazy. Reynor supply is growing. And don't forget, the weakness of the Swarm Host is when the game continues. Is when the Swarm Hosts stay alive and the Protoss army grows in supply. The Protoss army grows in supply. It grows in tech. You see a couple of storms perhaps. You kill one wave, and you're still maxed as a Protoss player, and all of a sudden, just like that, you have the potential to move across the map and go for a kill move, because there's so much supply into these holy mushrooms. And I don't mean holy as in, oh, but more holy as in they have a lot of holes on them. A different type of holy. A couple of storms going to hit these roaches. These locusts are stuck in a stasis ward. Their life timer still continues in a stasis ward, though, so you see them disappear here. The only unit that can get out of a stasis before the timer runs out. No, that's not true. The Adept can also do it. By shading, then walking into the stasis, and then when the shade finishes, the psionic transfer will still complete. So there's 2 units, at least that I'm aware of. Maybe you can also do this recall. You trigger it, then recall. Don't quite know what the thought is there. Maybe it's possible. Or maybe you just are stasis at home then. Not sure what happens with the status of the units after you recall. Actually not aware of that. Reynor seems to have survived for now though. It is a relatively low tier army. 31 Stalkers, not great against Lurkers, not great against Ultras either, and it seems like those are the 2 units that our good friend Dark is heading into. Yeah, these Lurkers defensively are going to be too much. If these Lurkers defensively will be too much, then also... Oh my god, he faked it! No way! They weren't attacking! Oh my god, I didn't catch that! And neither did Reynor. He put them on hold fire. This is the first time in a long time that I've seen hold fire actually being useful. I was like, oh, why is Reynor moving in here? He should be losing Stalkers. But Dark used the hold fire ability. What a quick snap decision there out of Dark. And he's going to counterattack immediately. Swarm Hosts coming in from the bottom side. Lurkers running in between these bases. There is nothing here to defend. There's these Templar being caught from like 3 different angles at the same time. This Gateway army is getting blasted by the Lurkers right now. There is some type of detection, but it's not going to be enough. Oh my god, what a brilliant move out of Dark there. With the hold fire. I'm not saying that he would have lost this game otherwise, because I think he was in a good position. The thing is that he sped up the process a lot, and he secured the victory with it immediately. And securing victories is the only thing that matters in StarCraft 2. If you can get a win, and you grab the win, that is fantastic. Nothing else matters at that point anymore. Swarm Hosts are still alive, as these mushrooms have traded so darn well. Look at this. 25k against 16k. That means that Reynor is down 9k in the resources lost tab. This is something you never see in a Zerg versus Protoss. With Reynor, of course, being the Protoss. This is wild. This is absolutely wild. Locust moving forward. That was like, yeah, I love that fight. Dark has been showing some fantastic game sense. He has so many little tactics, I think is what you call that, in chess. Like a little sequence of moves that just puts him in such a good spot. Don't forget that this game was legitimately over after the first 6 minutes. Reynor had won the game with his Oracle Adept Arrest. It was over. Give this situation to any other Zerg, and I don't think there's any other Zerg that would have won this game. I actually do believe this. I think that Dark is the only player that could have done it like this. GG gets called. Dark wins the third game in this best of 7 and puts himself in a 2-1 lead. And here we go into game number 4 between Dark and... Oh no. Dark is such a prick. It's so sick. Reynor's gonna be slightly pissed off when he sees this, that's for sure. That was a 19 hatchery there on the natural, just waiting in the corner, waiting for that probe to go upstairs. Now, of course, the thing here is, if Reynor does not actually go upstairs with the worker, this hatch is never being built. It's going to be a 19 or a 20 hatchery over here on the third base location. So it's a risk that Dark took, and it's gonna pay off this time around. But it doesn't always... Ooh. It doesn't always actually work out. Pulled into gas immediately here. Look at that. That's some quick gas mining. I wonder if this is some type of speed rush. So for the people that are not aware, of course, and you see, well, he's just pulled 3 workers in gas. How weird is that? Well, the thing is, in this matchup, fairly often, you want to rally into the gas. So you saturate your minerals. And the way you do that is by having 16 out of 16 on the mineral patches. And then you start rallying the next drones that come out into the gas. The way that Dark did it here is he pulled into gas with 3 workers while he wasn't saturated yet. This is bad for your economy. And the reason for that is because everything that boosts your economy can be built with minerals. Queens, overlords, drones, hatcheries, all cost pure minerals. The more minerals you have, the better your eco is. So if you want to optimize something, the way that you do that, or at least maximize the economy in a build, is you cut out as much gas as possible early on, and you get all gases later on as you're already fully saturated on minerals. That is the most optimal way for your economy to do things. Now, of course, in life, you sometimes do need gas. You need speed, for example. So you mine the 100 gas, then get speed. But pulling into gas is a move that we usually only see in Zerg versus Zerg. We saw it here in Zerg versus Protoss. Now, that could indicate aggression. But as we're watching Dark play, it could also just mean that he wants some early map control. Or he just can't be bothered to rally in. Dark, it is really difficult because I don't think he discusses his gameplay much in interviews. It's really difficult to understand the moves that he does. They often feel suboptimal. But then again, he is freaking good at the game and wins a crap ton of tournaments. So I never really want to call him out for it, you know? And I feel less confident in that, in my calling him out ability, as I would with other players, where I'd be like, well, if I see another player do something like this, like 13 workers on minerals, I would be like, well, what's the point, you know? He's also not using the gas, so it just feels suboptimal. But of course, StarCraft 2 consists of little trade-offs you have within build orders. So perhaps he just doesn't want to deal with the Adept Harass. He feels particularly weak against that, or he wants to scare his opponent. Or it could also just be a mind game. Sometimes you don't necessarily see a certain investment payoff within one game, but imagine every single game you pull into gas, you kind of lull the Protoss into a false sense of security, because they don't consider every single time, oh, fast into gas, it's probably going to be a speedling all-in. So now next time he does it, and does speedling all-in, the Protoss player might think, oh, this is just how Dark opens. And then a speedling all-in might be better. So there's a lot of things going on at the same time that Dark could be thinking of. But in this game specifically, this was a suboptimal opener. He's also going to be losing a couple of workers. 3 workers. That's honestly not too bad against 2 oracles early on. I think Dark is going to be fairly content with this start. Especially if you compare it to the last few games where he lost 25 workers in the first 3.5 minutes. Well, I think last game he lost 19 or 21 workers after 5 minutes and, 38 seconds or something ridiculous. It was actually insane. He's going to lose a couple of workers once again here. 4 more. But I don't think that's the end of the world. +1 melee for a 3rd time. So far, the only game that Dark lost was without the +1 melee. Roach Warren, Lair on the way right now. Blink once again for Reynor. That is exciting. 2 oracles popping out. Still have 3 alive, of course. Dark coming in for a bit of a... Oh, what is this gonna be? Like a run by? A cancellation on the 3rd base, potentially. Can get us around here on one of these stalkers. No, he can't. This Link's just gonna stand over here. Once this spot whether there's going to be a fast 3rd base or not. So far, what we've seen Reynor play is quick 6 gas into a 4th base. So rather than opting for a fast 4th and then into 8 gas, like you see people like Australia do a lot, or going for a quick 4th base, staying on 3 to 4 gas, like we've seen Hero play, does not seem to be the style that Reynor wants to play. Slightly different type of player. He believes this is the strongest. I like the way he walls here. He's gonna completely wall off this general area. Templar Archives on the way already. Once again, Spire would be extremely powerful against the way that Reynor opens. Extremely powerful. Does not have enough Stalkers to put on constant pressure. Has basically what I like to call a pressure gap. So there is going to be a gap between the initial pressure that he can do and the follow-up attack. There's going to be such a large gap that a Zerg can easily acquire enough resources to get out 15-16 Mutalisks. No problem. Especially given an okay-ish early game. Because, let's face it, the first pressure that's really gonna come is the moment this forward base is somewhat stable, up and running. These Stalkers can maybe move across the map, clear a little bit of creep. It's not going to be enough to force out 25 Ravagers. And then after this, the first real pressure, like, is going to be once Storm finishes and maybe +2 is done as well. Because right now there's just a lot of resources being invested into these Templar. But this is 600 gas. You have the Templar Archives, which is a lot of gas. You have a Storm, which is a lot of gas as well. Charge being researched. All of these things cost resources that aren't being invested in a push. Dark could have been basically gathering infinite gas and infinite minerals, taking 5 bases, 86, 87 workers, and staying on, well, honestly, practically pure Ling. That means that at this point, he could have had maybe 14, 15, 16, 1700 gas. If he hadn't built the Hydra then. And the Infestation Pit, but instead a Spire. That could have been the case. And then all of a sudden, Reynor, with his 10 Stalkers and his 6 Templar with Storm, needs to defend 18 Mutas. With 10 gas, pumping more Mutas out behind it. Not a single Phoenix out on the map. Nothing. Very little scouting being done with these oracles as well. That is just the weak spot that Reynor has in his build order. But once again, trade-offs are a thing in StarCraft 2. And in this case, Reynor gives up a little bit of safety against those Mutalisk build orders. And what he gets back for that is great safety against any type of Baneling play. Just, let's face it, Banelings are garbage against Storm. They can still connect often with probes, but in a straight-up fight, I do believe that Reynor's in a better spot. Something that does bother me a bit is the high worker count on 4 bases. We just see some oversaturation happening right now. Like, I think having a lot of workers is good, generally, but 92 on 4, it doesn't really do too much for me. Personally. It really doesn't. I still like Reynor's position, though, despite that. I mean, Dark has a bunch of roaches, which are useless, has 105 links, but his worker count went up relatively slow as well. We saw he was still even with the Protoss at like 70 workers, which is extremely late. It's extremely, extremely late. You have 7 Lurkers coming out. I don't actually think Lurkers are the answer to an early 6 into 8 gas style. I usually say, if you're not playing Mutas against a 6 into 8 gas style, you probably need to play Ravager Ling Bane, and then you can go into Ultra or you can go into Broodlord. And personally, maybe a combination, like Ultra into Broodlord or Broodlord into Ultra, depending a bit on how your early and mid game went. The problem with Lurkers is just the moment that you get them, you're losing map control. Because Lurkers are only good in defensive setups. They can't be out on the map. So you're going to be losing a lot of your creep that you've been working for the entire game. This, by the way, is the first game where we see no aggression or almost no aggression coming out of Dark. And we see a relatively calm Reynor getting up to +2 shields, getting his +3 attack going as well, taking a 5th base without having had any major losses on his 3rd or on his 4th. This is not possible for Dark. I don't think he can attack into this. All of these links are relatively vulnerable. A couple of storms are going to hit. This is... I'm surprised that he's going for this. Might be capable of getting a couple of connections on these Stormers. No, they just turn into Archons. This was a terrible fight here for Dark, yeah. This was not it. This was absolutely not it. Now we see a robotics facility being thrown down. I would love to see maybe even a second robotics facility. At the same time, a Zealot run by here. These guys are going to deal a lot of damage if you don't have units in position, because they're well upgraded Zealots. These are no joke Zealots. They pack a punch. We have a Stalker army moving forward. I think this is slightly over-eager out of Reynor here, fighting without Storm on the wrong side of the map. Can be a tricky affair, but at the same time, he seems to have plenty of supply. There's just no Prism with this, which is what scares me. 5 Zealots moving towards the far left side at the same time. Archons are still alive. 3-2 about halfway done as the Adrenal Glance is finishing up. We see 12 drones dying right now. We have a Lurker being dropped. We have a bunch of Banelings just idling in the dead space right now. Dark spots that he was idling them. He really needs to burrow this Lurker at some point in his life. It could start dealing some damage here. I actually think that Dark is just dead. Reynor with the correct call. I did not think this was the correct call. I thought it was risky and needlessly risky. But Reynor said no, this is the correct call. 20 workers now have gone down though on the side of Reynor. He's down to, well, still 81 workers. I guess that's the beauty of having 102 probes. That if you lose 21 workers, you still have plenty of stuff to mine with. 190 supply as well. Top left side base gets taken out by these pure Zealots. I really, really like the position that Reynor is in. I still believe that this game is absolutely over. Another Baneling will connect, but it's only 5 workers. That means that all Nexus will have to produce just once, and these workers will be back. 9 Lurkers are on the way. We already have the transition coming in at some point, I hope, in the near future, into Carriers. Once again, Carriers are the answer to Lurkers, especially if the Lurker player is on very low gas count. Eventually, you just need to transition into Corruptors. You have to. It's mandatory. It really is. +3 shields, +3 weapons. Good upgrades here for Reynor. Beautiful upgrades as well, though, here for Dark. But Reynor's not going to give this game away. He's too good in the late game. Once he's set on 5 bases, he rarely ever loses a Protoss versus Zerg. He's very, very good in these situations. Fairly competent at denying creep, having multiple armies on the map, with a lot of money in the bank. This guy is dangerous. This is pure speed, my friends. And he has loads of that. He has so much speed. Just idling these Zealots on creep as well. He knows that he'll be capable of responding in time. There's not many Protoss players that would have that confidence. There's not many Zerg players that would have that confidence either, honestly. Well, if you don't see the high ground, this is just risky. Yeah, you at least need to see the high ground. Observers moving in right now. This is a bunch of Lurkers. Feels like Dark actually is going for the only play that could possibly work, which is saving up a lot of Lurkers, then hoping for one good fight and counter-attacking with it. I think this is 100% the correct play. Dark's decision-making is fairly good, usually. And once again, it is. Despite being in an atrocious situation, I think he picked the correct call. Doesn't mean that I believe he's going to win. I just believe that this is the play with the highest chance of succeeding. Don't forget, Reynor has a relatively small army. This is not an army that deals well with Lurkers once they're in position. It's 19 Lurkers. They're well upgraded Lurkers. However, Dark needs to hit before Carriers are out. There is nothing here that can deal with Carriers. There's a Hydra. There's 5 Hydras. That is it. 5 Queens are also in production, though. Observer moving forward right now. It's going to spot well, very little. Very, very little even. A couple of creep tumors here on the left side. 6 space coming up for Reynor. He's playing it real slow. He's getting more cannons out. Denied literally every single creep tumor on this map. Does not feel like he needs to hurry into something. You know, he's just taking it slow. Keeping map control. I think a Nidus will be a necessity here. Chitinous plating seems like a gigantic waste of money. I really believe that the only thing he could have done is a counterattack with Lurkers. I feel like Nidus Worm I wouldn't even have minded. Phoenix trying to get a connection here, get a couple of pylons, but will not get anything else. This also, of course, is viable. Just distracting your opponent with a run-by or 2. And then trying to run across the map. One Lurker gets picked off here. out of our vision field. Could not continue following it. The map is too small. Flew off the map. Of course, this map is underwater, so everything floats up. That's also why there's fish. If the map wasn't underwater, it would be space fish. Also would be allowed, but rare to see. Don't think we've quite discovered that species yet. I mean, this fish base is never going to succeed. This is asking for trouble, in my opinion. Do we have any carriers out yet? The answer is no. Reynor setting up right now for a bit of a flank maybe on this left side army. 3-3-1 upgrades. Here come the zealots from the top side. And here comes the main army from the bottom side. Does not want to engage into this. Instead we'll move towards the right perhaps. No, 4 carriers on the way. Lost the zealots on the left side to make some room for the carriers. I mean, he's extremely well set up. And that's the thing here as well, right? Is that he wanted to wait with the transition till he was so set up that he knew he couldn't die during the transition. He's popping out carriers 5 at a time. And the moment these come out, he's probably going to get rid of some of these stalkers. He knows that his opponent cannot afford any type of corruptor count, especially not corruptors with good upgrades. There's simply not the cash for that. Gonna get somewhat of a decent engagement here as well. Like, even any trade, honestly, for Reynor at this point is good. He's just gonna hit a couple of these storms. The observer is sitting very pretty up here. Extremely pretty, even. Still had a baning run by on the bottom side. Going to connect with some of these cannons, I guess. More stalkers went down. That means that we can see 6 carriers in production at the same time and more immediately building afterwards. Reynor slowly but surely just trading out stalkers in favor of carriers. Do we have Neural? No, we don't have Neural. We do have pathogen glands, but without Neural these infestors are going to be useless. Could be some microbial shroud usage, but 10 queens against 5 carriers with +3. Only +1 carapace as well. That's the one upgrade that Dark actually is lacking. Yeah, it's just not gonna be it. These 2 carriers are too much already. There's 4 or 5 more where that came from. Just focus down the queens, mate. All you need to do is focus down the queens. There's literally no anti-air. Microbial gets used. What's the point? A couple of fungals are going to hit these interceptors. Oh, I love this. Just fighting outside of the microbial range, of course, why not? A couple of these lurkers in the back. Good target fire here. These queens are completely pointless. Reynor's gonna move in with absolutely everything. Throws down a couple of storms on top of these queens. More microbial shroud is going down, but I do believe that this is going to be it. Spores will take out 1 carrier. More interceptors are indeed dying, but there's still 20 alive and only 6 queens alive. The spores actually are doing a fair amount, but like I said, there's just no point. There's not enough anti-air. There's an ultra on the way. There's 2 more queens coming in. +2 carapace is about to finish up, but not even sure if we will see +2 carapace finish up. I feel like Dark might just actually end up leaving before these 10 seconds are over. Even with the space dead and everything. Dark must know that he's completely dead here. Zealots going in. Carapace. Yeah, we do not get to see Carapace finish before Dark leaves. GG gets called as Reynor wins game number 4. Alright, in game number 5 we finally have our ZVZ over here in this, well, what most people would have assumed would be a ZVZ Grand Final, but instead has been very Zerg versus Protoss favored. And we see both players opening up with a 12 pool. After 4 games of Protoss versus Zerg, Reynor decides to play Zerg and Dark says, okay, time to 12 pool. And Reynor apparently says, well, great minds think alike. I'm going to be doing the exact same thing over here. Somewhat interesting. That is indeed somewhat interesting. Overlord gets built here for both players at the same time and no gas is going down, so I'm not actually sure what happens. In these situations, like what the correct play is, I guess the defender wins, but I guess both players want to be the defender. Like, do you just run past one another? Do you fight in the middle of the map and hope that you have better micro than the opponent? The funny thing is that I believe that both these players will believe that they have better micro than their opponent. Both of them are fairly confident in their ability to take good fights. So it wouldn't surprise me if both of them decide to actually fight in the middle. 6 links versus 6. A fair battle is what they'll say. Could be a possibility. Let's take a look at the respawns. I want to see it out of Dark's point of view, actually. There we go. Oh, sees it now. Pulls back immediately. Reynor continues moving out. Maybe Reynor didn't spot it. That is a possibility. That Reynor was sleeping. That Reynor did not see it with his Overlord. Would not want to be walking into a concave like this, that's obvious. Would not want to be walking into a concave like this. I think this will be inconsequential. It will be inconsequential, the fact that Reynor spotted it later. Maybe it's even going to be good for him. It allows him to split off one Ling on the other side of the map. He managed to hide these 4 extra Lings as well. So actually it is Reynor with more information currently. It is Reynor who's straight away going into a gas as well. While Dark continues playing gasless from this point on. That is fairly interesting. That indeed is fairly interesting. 2 more queens on the way. Most likely going to be seeing 2-base Roach coming out of Dark. And with Reynor, I don't know. He pulled into gas. I remember what I said about it earlier. Worse economically, but perhaps with some aggressive purpose. There's a bunch of Lings just chilling at home. There's 2 Lings on the right side. These Lings are a scouting pair. Not going to be capable of getting any scouting done though. Definitely not going to be capable of getting any scouting done. Reynor tries to kind of pass by these Lings anyways. Not going to work out at all. 2 more Lings are being constructed here for Reynor as well. Reynor wants to get that info really badly. He's not going to get it for now. He's not going to get any info whatsoever. He's down a workers, down 2 workers even. So now we have the first 2 gases being constructed here for Dark. Dark has 1 more queen. Is up in supply. Is just slightly more minerals right now. That is just how it works. If your opponent takes faster gas, and the game has been mirrored up until that point, you're going to have more minerals. We'll need to kind of catch up in that gas count with the double gas. Then most likely an Evo chamber as well as a Roach Warren over here is aiming to take out one of these Overlords. I'm not sure if he can get it. He might just barely manage to fly into safety. It's going to be close though. Oh, Reynor! With a move command there, is going to lose an Overlord as a result of that. Fairly sloppy. I don't think it would have died otherwise. Lynx will get the scout off. See what's kicking off over here in the main base. Sees the complete lack of a pool moving. No metabolic boost being researched. And a layer starting right now. Now, Reynor did not spot that layer timing, but can probably assume that there's going to be something along them lines. We have an Evo chamber coming down as well. Oi, 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 lots of Lings being produced. This is to cancel a 3rd base while getting a 3rd at the same time himself. Metabolic boost finishing up in right about now. As these Lings are most likely going to be in a little bit of danger. I'm not quite sure if they will be quick enough when it comes to getting home. Reynor's going to bypass them. Just right-click the 3rd hatchery, surely. Yeah, I'm not sure if this is worth it. Cancel on the hatch. Needs a drone up behind this. Gets carapace as well. Exciting stuff. Fairly exciting stuff. 6 Overlords on the way right now for Dark. Maybe opting to go for a timing already? No, impossible. Right? He's getting 2 upgrades at the same time. Needs a 3rd base. Reynor's going to continue into roaches from this point on out. Good control on these Lings. Ooh, this bad boy is staying alive. Look at that. Oh my god, there's a bunch of low Lings in here. 1 more Ling hit and they would have definitely died. Drone might get taken out here. More delay as a result on that hatchery. Lings might... Ooh. Wow, Reynor. Some quick plays here with the Lings. Wants to check, make sure that nothing weird is going on in the main base. 1 drone is going to end up falling here as well. Almost feeling like Dark is... I don't want to say all in, but... he's being put in a little bit of an all-in position. He's down in mining by a fair chunk. I'm not so sure if this looks good for Dark right now. I really am not so sure. Spire. Okay. Spire as the follow-up play. So with a way faster layer, I'm gonna say Spire is my way forward. My move into the future. Is a quick Spire. +2 range coming out here for Dark as well. Which is weird because there's also a Spa. Okay, I'm just a little bit confused. I've been confused before in my life, and even in this series, but this is really starting to get to me right now. Double gases should be taken, probably, right? If you want to go into Miras from here. If you can hide it from your opponent, that would be huge as well. There we go, double gases. I guess he could always cancel this at the last moment if he really wants to. But it's not going to be mass Muta, so perhaps just continuing those upgrades is the correct call anyway. Reynor on a low worker count. Probably wants to... I was going to say hit a timing, but... What timing is he going to hit? Like +1 timing against +2, that's not great. What other timing is he going to hit? Well, nothing, because honestly Mutas are going to be out already. We need to see a Hydra then. We need to see Queen production, but Reynor is, well, currently blissfully unaware of what's going on. There's 4 or 5 Mutas in production. We see Overlord speed being researched. That's nice. Will allow Reynor to save a lot of them Overlords, which are right now in the middle of the map. Can Reynor get a clue as to what is going on? So far, no. The answer is no. No clues are being given away. Fort base is always a difficult thing to get if you're playing against Mutalisk. So if Reynor could establish that pre-Mutalisk era, that would be great. Mutalisk managed to dodge everything so far. No vision in the middle of the map here for Reynor. He's going to see these these Mutas by the time that they arrive in his base. Spore gets built. A couple of drones are going to fall here, that's for sure. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 workers will die. There is one queen, which helps. The Mutas need to return back home right now. I mean, Reynor can't attack into a choke like this. There's just no way. This feels nice for Dark. I don't think that Reynor should commit to this whatsoever. I think this is a huge error of judgment. Missile attacks level 2 is about to finish up as well. There's no returning here for Reynor with these Mutas around. +2 finishing up in 3, 2, 1. Oh, this was a fight without muscle attacks level 1 for Reynor as well. So he's been fighting while being down in supply the entire, or being down in upgrades the entire time. He's now also being down in supply. This is a dramatic fight here for Reynor. Does manage to cancel the fort base, and these Lynx got what, 2 worker kills. Great stuff, but simply not enough. Mutas, like I mentioned, are going to be chasing this army, so 3, 4, 5. 6 extra roaches will end up dying. If the target fire would have been a little bit better, I think he could have definitely had 2 more. But even without those 2 extra kills, I think Dark could just be setting himself up for a massive maxed roach push. And I don't really see a way for Reynor to weasel his way out of this one. Now, Reynor is a pretty decent weasel, but is he weasel enough? That's the real question. His animalistic instincts, are they strong here? Can he get out? I don't think he can. He's gonna need to build a couple of Ravagers at least to hold the ramps. He'll need to survive till he has his own +2. He's gonna be down in army supply, down an upgrade, and honestly also have an inferior army. There's a lot of high... Well, it's only 6 Hydras. In that case, the Hydras might actually be useful. No Ravagers though, that's a real issue. Does have the gas for it, so I'm surprised to not see them yet. These Lynx are going to get caught. It's probably not bad for Reynor either. Reynor at least is going to max out. That is nice. Okay, that is really, really nice. You have Carapace upgrade on the way as well here for Dark. Dark probably wants to be setting up for an attack here. Takes out these rocks. No Ravagers. This surely is an error. I really believe that not having Ravagers is quite bad here. You need them to zone out your opponent's army. These roaches are not in position either. Reynor is taking a fight with half of his army without any Ravagers whatsoever. Now will have a massive concave in which he can fight, but he needs to break this concave against all of the Ravager biles that Dark is using. Every single one of these biles is just losing Reynor so much damage output, so much damage per second that isn't being dealt, that could have been dealt. Reynor still down that upgrade as well, is not going to be capable of holding this at least. Uh-oh. The roach wall that was in front of these Ravagers actually has largely disappeared. A couple of battles going to hit these larvae, but no. Dark just simply has too much. Too many units. GG gets called. Reynor leaves and Dark will take the lead after playing 2-2 against Reynor's Protoss. Now wins the Zerg vs Zerg. And in game number 6, Reynor has returned to his trusty old Protoss. We see the probe is harassing. Did not get a block on the natural. I'm not quite sure if he went for it or not. Just like you guys, I missed the early game. Unbelievable. This content creator skipping the first 2 minutes of the game. Important things are happening there, Harstem. Well, not really. We saw the result there. It probably was either a gate scout or a pilot scout. It's one of the two. It's a difference of about 40 minerals. That's life, guys. Sometimes you just miss things. Just like if you blink in real life, you could miss the greatest sight that you now will never see again. I'm always afraid of that, which is why I never blink. One of the many things that I have convinced myself of. So if you never blink, you never miss anything. Imagine that something brilliant would happen the moment you blink. It's not like people are constantly filming or taking pictures of things. You might just miss it. It would be awful. It's the best solution. Google Glass provided a good solution to that. Just always filming everything. That was brilliant. Sure, a little bit intrusive on the privacy. It also looked really bad. People that started wearing Google Glass often had nothing interesting to record anymore because all their friends and family would leave them because they revealed themselves to be uber nerds. And being a regular nerd is okay, but an uber nerd, that is pushing it for most people. That's really the vibe you were getting with the Google Glass squad. That product went away faster than I imagined it would, though. I mean, it already looked bad in spy movies, you know? Futuristic spy movies had them. And even there, they always looked kind of weird. Not super useful. If they make them look bad in spy movies, there's no way that they would look good in real life. If James Bond can't pull it off, why would you? And no one could pull it off. Terrible invention. Anyway, Oracle here. It's also one of these things where you just... It's one of these ideas where if you think about it for 5 seconds, you say, yeah, that's a brilliant plan. But then when you think about it for 15 seconds, like, yeah, never mind. You know? It's just not really working. It's like a gimmick, which is nice for legit 5 to 10 minutes. I thought the same about the hoverboards, though. And they really stayed around. Is that what you call them, the hoverboards? Like the things with the 2 wheels and you can kind of lean forward and go fast with it. I really did not think that these things would be popular. It's like, it's nice to have. You drive around with it once and then you realize that it's better to walk or just buy a bike or something like that. It's safer and you don't have to charge it. You know, you don't care about the bumps in the road as much. You can just buy a BMX or something like that. Like there's better tools than that one. But that one really stood the test of time. It surprised me. What also stood the test of time is this Oracle harass. Except that one Oracle. He just died. Fairly unfortunate for that Oracle. Then again, I'm not an Oracle. I'm still wondering whether there's a pilot in there. Or if this is just a unit by itself, you know? What are you, Oracle? Share your secrets, you little prick. What was that? It sounded like a depth. Yep, it was a depth. 8 workers going down in the first 5 minutes of this game. Needless to say, probably not the start. Ooh, that Dark was hoping for. What is this? Oh, this is... Oh, no. Reynor is convinced of this build order. The charge lot build order. I have not been convinced of this build order. He told me about it a while ago. He's like, Kevin, I got a build with Protoss. You're not going to believe it. I built charge lots and put them in a prism. I followed up with the Templar archives. And I go hard with this. Reynor, this sounds terrible. Blink Stalkers sounds way better. We used to play charge a lot, and the problem with charge lots is that they don't really have an escape mechanism like Blink Stalkers do. And they also don't actually trade that well against a lot of things. If they don't have +1. They're not great against queens. They're not brilliant against roaches. If links have +1, they're also not brilliant against that. A lot of damage has been dealt in the early game, and this might come as a surprise. So I'm not saying it isn't going to be working. I'm just saying there's a very small chance that it will end up working. What do we have? 4 gates? Where can I see that? 4 gates, 1 more. Okay, 6 gates I think it's going to be. So 2 Archons, bunch of charge lots. That's going to be it. 2 spines on the way here for Dark. Dark is legit down 10 workers. For no reason. Well, the reason is that he lost 10 workers. 12 workers. That's why he's down 10 workers right now. I'm gonna cancel this fort base though, that's nice. Archons will get to stay alive. So many queens here. And with these roaches in production, it's gonna be just fine for Dark. Dark's in an awful spot though. Despite him not going to be taking any damage against this. If he kills the 2 Archons and the prison, and then Reynor falls asleep on his keyboard, Dark might be in an okay position. But if only 2 out of these 3 things happen, it's not going to be good enough. Yeah. And he's just building a lot of roaches right now, and He needs to be building things that aren't roaches and that mine for him. How sick would it be if you could trade in a roach for a drone? Like, monetarily a bad trade, but I think a lot of Zergs would still take it at some point. You know, build some roach for safety, trade them in for drones. Boom, just like that. Interesting run by out of dark. He's going to kill 4 workers total. 1, 2, 3, 4. Stop killing. If Reynor had micro, there would have only been 4. I'll count this as a win for me. Solid prediction. Wait, is this the second prison? Oh, 2 prisons. That's kind of cool, actually. We have Storm on the way. Once again, Spire would have been fantastic against this, but you can really only play Spire if you have more than 64 workers, which, let's face it, Dark doesn't. He's going to get up to 66, 8 minutes into the game. Dark is dead right now in this game. He's actually lost the game. It's over. Like, it legitimately is over. He's so far behind right now. He has poor tech. He's built 26 roaches, which are going to be completely useless for him. He's fighting against a Protoss player that's on Chargelot Archon Storm Immortal. Literally the perfect counter for any unit that Dark can build in the next 2.5 to 3 minutes. There's no unit that will perform well against Reynor's current army that Dark can get out of layer tech. It's simple. It doesn't exist. This unit doesn't exist. So what does Dark need to do? He needs to get Overlord speed. I like it. Possibility to get back into the game. Get some, you know, some comeback going. A couple of worker kills here and there. He needs to throw down an infestation pit. Second Evo. And go into Hive. And then please, I think we need to see a Spire. It is not possible to transition into Lurker from here. And then in that case, I guess, the second Evo doesn't make a lot of sense, because where are you going to get carapace upgrades from the second Evo? No, he's going to use the second Evo usually to get range upgrades and to go into Lurker. Triple Dropper Lord here coming in. We have a single Phoenix being well, it's not being chrono boosted, it's just being pushed out of this Stargate. 16 Banelings are being morphed as well. This little Zealot Prisma is not going to see much of anything. Ooh, yeah, interesting one. 4 to the left, 4 to the right. And where are these going? Yeah, this is one hell of a pattern that he's setting up, huh? By the time these arrive, there's going to be a mothership and 4 carriers out. Good lord, these guys are going to go slow. I wonder what time they actually will arrive. Like 10:35, 10:40? None of them make it within the 21st century. These guys are proper slow. Anyway, Spire. Okay, correct calls. Correct calls all around here out of dark. Spire into Hive is the correct play. Now, this doesn't mean he's winning this game, because he's still endlessly far behind. Doesn't even have Baneling speed yet. If Reynor were to commit to a push right now, I think he would just straight up win. Banelings on the left side already made it in position. These bad boys are hopefully also going to make it in position at some point. We have a Zealot Rumba being set up on the right side. The upgrades for Reynor are at +2. I can't believe there's no Baneling speed. That is actually insane. 54 Banes defensively for Dark. Dark is... oh my god. Reynor's looking at it like, oh my god, you can't be serious, right, buddy? Surely this isn't real. Banelings on the right side are going to connect with these Zealots. Good splits out of Ray. Well, okay, never mind. Cancel that. Not great splits out of Reynor. We have actually some potential. Okay, it's going to arrive freaking 11 minutes and 15 seconds. That is insane. Okay, they're being set up right now. This drop. 1, 2, 3. 11 kills. This drop. Take a first person look here for Reynor. Is he paying attention? Bang, bang, bang. 20 kills. And your third base. 29 kills. And despite an absolutely terrible start here for Dark, Dark is actually going to get in a position right now where if Reynor doesn't kill him in the upcoming push, Dark has a late game in him. Dark definitely will have a late game in him. The problem is just losing probes is bad because you lose minerals and you lose mineral income. However, this is an army that relies completely on gas right now, is still basically maxed, and you can still have 10 or 9 gas mining, which means that you can still add more and more Archons. As long as the Broodlords aren't out, this army has the potential to kill. There's no Corruptors out on the map. Dark is currently maxed This means that Broodlords are at least a minute and a half away, and by that time, Reynor is going to have an army that is so powerful that even with 120 Banelings, you're not going to be capable of busting it. Definitely not with 19 Banelings. 19 Banelings is too little Banelings, and that is all what Dark currently has. This is a bad angle to engage in, though, Reynor. Do not want to be fighting here. There's a prism with the right side army. There's a prism on the left side, which could join this army over here. I just don't see a way for Dark to fight this properly. This is a good start. Pick up the Archon. Do not pick up the Archon. We'll pick up a couple of Zealots. This army over here. Still no Corruptors. As long as there's no Corruptors, there's no hope for Dark in this game. He can't fight it. He can't kill it. It's not possible. You can't kill this. Look how many storms. There's like 300 storms in here. This is legit 10 Templar with 2 storms each. I don't even understand how you fight this as a Zerg without brutes. It's actually impossible. Tom Cruise reads this, watches this, says to himself, this is the actual Mission Impossible, but doesn't want to make a movie about it. Because it's actually not possible. 6 Corruptors are now on the way, and of course this is the timing that Reynor decides to attack. More Baneling run-bys happening at the same time. 3 probes go down. Still 1 Baneling idling in that 5th base as well. Dark actually switched his camera over there for a second. Impressive that he has the mental space for that during this well, rather difficult time. Prism's gonna get taken out. This is a good start of an engagement that still feels like it should go absolutely terrible here for the Zerg players. 6 Corruptors are about to finish up though. If Dark is very patient and just stays alive for a bit longer, the Broodlords actually could come out. Zealot run by on the right side. More Zealot Warpins though. Yeah, this is feeling very, very rough. 6 Broodlords do get morphed in at this point. Don't forget Reynor still on a fairly high worker count with 93, or back again on a high worker count, I should say. Yeah, losing this left side base for Dark is pain. It's actual pain. Oi, 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 oi. Yeah, I mean, brutes are very good, but well, you might be capable of pushing this back. That's something at least, I guess. The problem here is that Dark is working off of like, what is this? Half a base, half a base, half a base, full base. Like 2.5 base. Reynor is going to have the entire map for himself to expand to do things with. It's getting blinks, getting +1. Dark doesn't have the creep spread to march across the map with this. If this was the case and both players had 60 workers and no bank, I'd say, okay, Dark can take this into a late game. But right now, by the time Dark establishes an economy and gets the army out that he needs, it's going to be 4 or 5 minutes from now. I mean, there will literally be no creep left. The Reynor can actually get into Tempest. Could also just go into carry here, honestly. He can do a lot of things. He can also continue playing with 2 armies. Needs to be careful, though, that he doesn't get captured by these brutes. Not get captured, actually, by some of these brootlings. Needs to be careful. Don't want to be losing too many Archons. Like I said, it's not the end of the world, because, well, simply said, Dark can't march across the map. Still has so many roaches in this army. So roaches are so bad. So bad. These Zealots need to be careful to get pulled back. It's completely the correct call, of course. Don't want to be losing too much here if you're Reynor. Reynor in complete control. Complete control. 95 workers against 69. Well, 70, 72 right now. More Broodlords are being added in this army. Dark wants to stay alive. Dark is on match point. If he wins this game, he wins the series. He wins the finals. The question is, though, can he do it? I'm not quite sure what the answer is going to be. Nice run by. So we see basically a switch of the sides, or where the armies were going. Cool little split here out of Reynor. Very cute. Still a couple of these Zealots will end up falling. More Zealots moving in towards this far away base. Right side gets taken out. Blink Stalkers moving in. Once you start bleeding Broodlords with this type of eco, I don't think you're going to be having a great spot if you're Dark. You're not going to be having a good time whatsoever. I can't imagine. The problem just is that Reynor can resupply this infinitely with his 17 gateways. He can lose 5 Stalkers per Broodlord and be absolutely okay with it. Be absolutely okay with it. Backside base is actually going to stay alive for now, which is good. You have +3 Carapace, +2, what is this? Flyer attacks. 5 Broodies remaining. So 20 new Stalkers join the army. Or 16 Stalkers actually. I saw on the unit stat. A couple of storms here wouldn't actually be too bad either. Could blink into this. Maybe snipe it. Pop, pop. Whoop. Oh, not enough damage output. One more brute coming in. Zealot run by heading towards the far left. I would have loved for this creep to have gone. That way you can't pre-split as easily if you're dark. Blink forward. I think he took out a broody here. Like I said, every broody that you lose is a broody you're not going to get back. One more gets taken out. Archon's having one hell of a fight. This is game over. Zealots, well, they are losing on the left side, but it's simply not going to matter. 166 supply against 127. Reynor outmining his opponent almost with a 2-to-1 ratio. As Dark will be forced to tap out. GG gets called. Reynor wins game number 6 and will bring it to the rubber match. And that, ladies and gentlemen, brings us to the final game of this best of 7. It's been a long series. Holy crap! Oh, for like an hour and a half, almost 2 maybe even. It's been a long time, and we have one more game. It's going to be a Protoss versus Zerg on Waterfall. Interesting to see how Reynor picked his CVZ game. He picked CVZ on, what was it, Inside and Out, but not on Waterfall. You could say that Inside Out is a better Protoss versus Zerg map than Waterfall is for Protoss against Zerg. And especially given the style that Reynor likes to play, this is an interesting decision. Inside and Out is okay-ish for Oracle openers. Waterfall is not brilliant, and majority of the time when we do see Protoss players on Waterfall, when they decide to not veto it, we either see some type of TT drop, some type of early glaive opener as well, is somewhat common. So yeah, definitely interesting, because I'm not sure how familiar Reynor is with these glaive attacks. So far, every PvZ that I've seen out of him has just been Oracle into Blink, into some type of follow-up. So it is interesting. Once again, Dark just pulling into gas. That is also something that is interesting. Literally every single game just pulls into gas. Gets that really quick speed. Does not want to take any damage whatsoever against early Adept. Oh! What are we seeing here? This is a core before Nexus. Reynor completely switching it up. I was not aware that he knew how to play this. So, for the people that do not know too much about early game openers, in Protoss vs Zerg, 99% of the times we see a Nexus go down before the core. This, basically the build order for that is a 20 Nexus, a 20 Cybernetics core, 21 gas, and 22 pylon. If you get the core before the Nexus, because your core finishes faster, you need to get the second pylon before your gas, which is what happened in this case. This means that you have less gas early on, and thus often your tech gets delayed by a little bit. This Stargate that now went down at 221 usually goes down at, what should I say, 218, 217, so 4 or 5 second delay. Your initial Adepto is about 9 to 10 seconds faster, which allows you to perhaps deal some damage with these initial 2 Adepts. On top of that, because your Nexus is delayed, you also will be working with 1.5 less probes, just simply because you cannot build them. Adept is not going to, actually no, it actually is going to go into the main base. Pop his head in, pop his head out. 3-4 links are running by here. Reynor's not going to be in position with the second Adept and could be in a little bit of trouble. Are we going to see a recall here straight away? Yep. Recall of a single Adept. 1 probe already has been taken out. These links are going to scout as well. What a great start here for Dark. Does not take any damage. Reynor already down about 2.5 workers. If he loses 1 more, that's going to be 3.5 workers. Don't forget, his Nexus has been delayed. Because of that early game. Now, there is 12 links out as well. There's no full wall yet. Oh no, Reynor. Absolute chaos in this game so far. Workers need to be pulled off the line. The front door was left open. 5 links with speed in the main base. And this time around, the fast speed is definitely going to be helping Dark a little bit. Another pro pool coming out here. We need to re-wall this. Do we have more links on the way? No, it's just going to be drones. There's 3 more links making their way across the map, but oh, it's just not going to be enough. What a painful start here. For the first time in this series, it feels like the early game hasn't been good for Reynor. It's actually been god-awful here for Reynor. It's been terrible. Oh my god, more links are going to get in towards the natural and towards the main as well. Oracle needs to stay home because of that. Adept makes its way back in towards the wall. Good probe micro. No, 1 more probe will get taken out. Perhaps 1 more will fall. Yep. 2 workers do end up going down, and an activation on the pulsar beam, which means that Return damage is going to be so hard to get done here for Reynor. Third base hasn't started yet. We're 4 minutes and 23 seconds into the game. Double Adept get warped in, get spotted by the Overlord. And that means that Dark will be ready for it. 4 links are out, 8 more links immediately get started. Good luck taking a third base ever in your life, Reynor. He's down 8, 9 workers. Yeah, I mean, yeah, Protoss is just in a crap spot, honestly. Protoss is just in a crap spot. Oracle's flying in. Will get stopped by these queens as well. There's only been 3 queens. Roach Warren on the way. Creep spread is fairly mediocre. That's the one thing that Dark hasn't focused on much. He's mainly been focusing on getting damage done with these links, as we see links now moving forward. For a second I thought he was going to get the surround on this bad boys. Ooh, bunch of drones actually will end up falling. There's, like I mentioned, there was only 3 queens. 4 queens right now. 7 drones actually fall. That is a big deal, but also a lot of damage on these oracles. What are these links doing? Not quite sure what they are doing. Perhaps looking for the adepts. They're not going to find them because the adepts are back home. See a pylon being constructed over at the third base. Roach Warren on the way. Second gas. Third gas. This is going to be a queen walk. And it's going to... Ooh, this is a bad queen walk. Oh no. There's no way this works, right? Is there? I find it hard to believe that this is actually going to end up working. Yes, Reynor had a very poor start. But you don't have transfuses on these units. Yeah, on the other hand, what is there defensively for Reynor? Just these links are going to be good enough to kill this third. Yeah, force a cancel. Queens can start walking back home. Oracles. Get 1 kill, get 2 kills. No third oracle out yet. Queens can move back home right now, and we immediately see the resumed drone production. Oh, if this queen flank takes out these oracles, that would be terrible here for Reynor. Take a look, first person out of Reynor. Gets in with the adept, gets a couple of kills, loses 1 oracle though immediately. Continues microing these adepts. We'll get 5, 6 workers. Shades in towards the main base. Starts blink. Chrono boosted, and well, these shades might not even finish up, honestly. Yeah, there we go. Things do take everything out. 7 drones have fallen extra on the side of Dark. That means 14 workers have gone down. 96, 99 supply against 68. My good friends, Reynor in a world of trouble in this game. +1 range on the way. Feels to me like there's going to be a Roach follow-up attack. Almost never do we see a range upgrade straight away, unless there's a follow-up kind of like +1 Roach attack. 66 workers, 72, 73 workers. Can take a fort base with it, you just don't use the fort base for mining. You use it for a couple of larvae and as a bit of a fake. Showing your opponent, hey, I'm taking a fort base, I'm macroing. Don't you want to macro as well? Here, get some units, get some gateways, get some tech maybe even. Reynor right now is in so much trouble. Built 3 batteries in his natural. Needs to construct a forge. I mean, this is a third base that's going to finish at 7 minutes and 50 seconds into the game. Approximately the same time that his opponent's fourth base is going to end up finishing. An overall garbage situation here for the Italian stallion. Oi, 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 oi. 65 workers and indeed Roach production has started right now. Stalkers are going to make their way on the map. The only thing that I find somewhat viable or perhaps possible here for Reynor... Wow, there was an oracle. I was going to say is continuous oracle production and getting a fast fort base here on the far left side. Continuous oracle production, pure stalker playing a low gas style. I do not believe that he can survive without getting a lot of oracles. He's going to need extra oracles. It's going to be so rough without it. Third base perhaps in a little bit of trouble against these links. Stalker move in position, which is nice. And these links, they have one purpose, and that is to pull the army back while the roaches make their way across the map. And it is a darn important purpose as well. Oh, here's some shooting noises here. What's this oracle doing? It's gonna scout a bunch of roaches. I'm surprised that Dark isn't attacking. He's up 60, 70 supply. Why isn't he going in? I guess he's playing against a 4-gas Protoss that doesn't have a fort base. That is a reasonable explanation, I guess. Dark probably believes that he's defending an all-in currently. I'm not sure what Reynor believes is happening at this moment. Second fort's going down. No fort base yet, though. 26 Stalkers are out. Defensively quite good against pure Roach, actually. A couple of Ravagers as well on the way. This is a defense that could happen. There's triple batteries after all. Uh-oh. This is a defense that I could actually see happen. Extra oracles would be huge here. They are not here. We have a battery in the back that could be turned into a super battery. Oracle, can we please target down some of these Ravagers? No, we can't. 1-1 is on the way. Couple of blink backs as well. Hoop, hoop. And even if Reynor survives here, we just don't have a big eco. To be fair, neither does Dark. Dark right now, once again seeing, hey, wait a second, there's no forward base. That's fairly odd. I don't mind this attack. I really don't. I think this was an okay call. He could not have predicted Reynor to go for 4 gas on 70 workers on 3 bases. That's a difficult prediction to make. Especially with how Reynor has played so far in this series. But Reynor is going to stay alive. Now Dark will need to probably turn this into a, I don't want to say a macro game, but a lurker game. This is a good lurker game. You're going to stay alive with roaches, and once you get lurkers out, your opponent does not have any gas whatsoever to get big immortal storm counts. And that means that lurkers are actually quite viable in this type of scenario. Definitely should have seen the Hydra then come down already in that case though. So we can start the lurker then at the same time as the Hive. That's not going to be the case. We see a couple more trades coming in. Roaches on the right side with +2. We'll take out this forward base once more. Don't forget, Dark is still on a relatively low worker count. So even if he takes out this forward base and is playing 4 versus 3, the income difference is almost non-existent. So every trade that Dark takes that is a bad one is actually also bad for his game. I don't like pathogen clans here. I think this is an incorrect play. I think straight up lurkers is the correct play here. Surely. Straight up lurkers, right? I am not so sure about infestors here. I really am not so sure about infestors. I think going up to 81, 82 workers, saturating 4 bases, maybe even getting a 5th base going to potentially go up to 10 gases and 83, 84, 85 workers or so. I think that's what's important at this point. Fungals would be huge if they land, but if they don't land, you're basically fighting a pure Stalker army with pure roach, and that's not great because you can blink back parts of the Stalkers if there's a battery in the back to help. Ooh, Biles connecting with the Stalkers though. That is not brilliant. Dark's gonna trade out a bunch of these roaches. Okay, for Reynor. He's still down an upgrade though. +2 against 1-1. I really believe that a couple of extra oracles also could have helped a lot in this type of defense when there's no anti-air. That can be so big. 6 queens are out. We have a lurker then coming in. Yeah, I really do believe that lurkers are correct. I wonder what the plan was with the pathogen glands. Maybe if he was afraid of an attack out of Reynor defensively, it could have been good. There's no burrow either, so no unburrow into fungal type of move would have really been possible. This is a type of game where tunneling claws could have even worked as well, honestly. Only a single oracle remaining after all. Reynor's taking a couple of decent trades here though. With the +2 upgrades and with that 1 armor as well, it's definitely helping out. Getting some extra batteries. We now see 4 roaches making their way in towards the main base. There's no cannon there, but a single warping will take care of that. Oh, no, they're moving out again. Up, we'll take a couple of workers out. Take out the Stalker as well that was warping in. Yeah, these bad boys are indeed going to end up dying. 1 swarm host, 2 lurkers. Adaptive talents, pre-seismic spines, so that means that we're going to see quick burrow on these lurkers before we see the +2 range. An interesting call. The Reynor starts denying some creep here. If Reynor gets map control against this composition, it will be difficult for Dark to kill. Dark can only kill if he gets the lurkers in a solid aggressive position without being base traded against. However, Reynor right now is taking out creep by creep. Creep tumor by creep tumor. It's just pure Stalker though, 44 Stalkers. Fun to play, but not very powerful. He's gonna need Storm, he's gonna need Immortals. Maybe even Disruptors is a call here. Blink forward. Takes out 1 extra roach. Stalkers on the left side without detection, moving in. Uh-oh, can we see a hold fire? Uh-oh, we're gonna see an hold fire again, just like before. Triggers it right now, lots of Stalkers going down once more. Dark with the same trick twice in a series. We now have this army moving in as well. Lurker still being left behind. Seismic Spines is about 25% done. Can we burrow this? Can we burrow this? No, it's a suicidal Lurker just running in there. Head first. the same time, we have these lurkers pushing in, and the question is there an oracle here for detection? Well, there's an oracle, but detection is a little bit away at least. A couple of seconds until the next revelation. We see these lurkers split up. What a great little play here out of Dark. Seismic is about to finish up, and once that finishes up, +3 finishes up, there's just no army here out of Reynor that can deal with these lurkers in a somewhat efficient way. That's a real issue. That actually is a real issue. We have an observer being popped out. 8 lurkers out, 4 more on the way. Seismic Spines +3 attack, +2 carapace halfway done as well. I actually think that Dark should send it at this point. He needs to send it. Because if the game goes on, then Reynor all of a sudden can get into a position where maybe transitioning into a big Stalker, Immortal, Zealot type of army is going to be viable. Get a couple of Storms in there. Once again, Lurkers are not that great in the longer game. They're great when they first come out, and they're great against big Stalker numbers, big Gateway numbers usually. But yeah, this is just a great fight for Dark. Or most likely, it's going to be a great fight for Dark. Don't have too much here defensively. So base trades are going to be possible. This base will fall on the side of Reynor, and Dark will lose his own 5th base. He needs to try and keep his 4th base alive. Reynor does not feel comfortable pushing into this, of course, with the Spore there. Spore needs to be taken out first. Maybe get an Overseer as well if you're Dark. So you can target down Observers. It would be huge. Nah, this base is just dead. Absolutely dead. Robo Bay as well as 2nd robotics facility on the way. It's just going to be really rough for Reynor right now. I'm always thinking in like these situations, like, well, what could make him win, right? You need a really good fight and then a counter attack, but I don't see a really good fight happening with this unit comp. 2 army splits is good. You can take out creep, maybe expand. You're taking a 5th base. Get out 6, 7 disruptors. Hope your opponent forgets about the Viper. And it's a reasonable... It's a shot, right? It's probably the only shot that he has. Single robo, needs a 2nd, maybe even a 3rd robo at this point. Doesn't really have the eco to support it. Can definitely force base trades though, with this army. I mean, two split armies like this, you can definitely force base trades. If these lurkers ever move out, you just attack. You attack a base. That's what you're gonna be doing. Probably the correct call. Dark's going to move out all the way here towards the right side. Has 28 lurkers. I think this left side army needs to go across the map. I don't think you can join defensively. Disruptor needs to show its face. That's an issue because now Vipers can start being produced. This army should already be on the other side of the map, I think. It's just not doing anything defensively. It needs to go across. He wants to try and surround it. I'm doubtful of that. I'm doubtful of this plan. Oh no, the Stalkers are walking in. And the probe's getting taken out. Yeah, Reynor is absolutely dead here. These Stalkers have no chance. They're just getting ripped to pieces. GG gets called. Dark wins the finals with a 4-3 score in this best of 7. Played 3-3 in the Protoss versus Zerg, but managed to beat Reynor in the Zerg versus Zerg. Fairly unfortunate. Sick finals though. These first few games especially were really, really crazy in my opinion. Insane plays. Dark is very, very powerful. So is Reynor's Protoss though. I'm sad that we're not going to see that in the GSL, but it is what it is. This is going to be it for me today as well. Thanks all so much for watching. I hope you did enjoy it. If you did, don't forget the like button, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see all of you next time for a new video. Thank you, and bye.